Hey everyone, so before we start this week's video, let's have a listen to what we're gonna create. So the latest video I made was about VCV rec and the integration into Ableton, and I asked you guys if you would be interested in more VCV rec / modular stuff, and yeah, the comments spoke for themselves. A lot of you want to dive deeper into the world of modular. So this week I'm going to expand on what we started with last week, but I'm going to use a slightly different software. It's not really that different. You're going to see in a minute why, because this is called Cardinal. Cardinal is a fork or a clone of VCV rec. And the upside of Cardinal is that you can use it as a plugin in Ableton without any workarounds. So Cardinal, as I mentioned, is a clone of VCV rec, which means we have access to most of the modules you get in VCV rec. For example, the VCO and the ADSR and the VCA you're seeing here are clones from the VCV internal modules, and you can also use third-party brand modules. If I right-click here, you can see these are all the brands in Cardinal, and there are quite a lot of them. So if I browse through them, you can see here's all the mutable instrument stuff. You have all the Bifaco modules, including the noise plethora, one of my favorites. Expert sleepers are in here, so lots of stuff to discover, and of course the whole VCV library. So today I wanted to show off two, I would call them classic instances of sequences for Hypnotic and raw techno. The first one is a no-nonsense bleepy techno kind of thing, and the second one is something you will instantly recognize if you watch a lot of modular Instagram stuff, for example, because this is one of these patches that tends to pop out time and time again. More about that in a minute. Let's focus on the bleeps first. So let's have a listen to this sequence before we start. The way this works is really simple, and it's perfect for explanation of modular in general. So my host MIDI here translates everything from my MIDI clip. By the way, let me show you how the clip looks like. This is my clip with the notes, and you can see there are velocities all over the place. So my volt per octave goes into my volt per octave on the VCO, on my oscillator. And by the way, we're listening to a pure sine wave right now. My gate signal is opening this ADSR envelope. I have a really short attack, moderate decay of 58 milliseconds, a little bit of sustain because I want the bleep to not instantly disappear, but to linger for a while, and then a little bit of release. And that ADSR is opening this VCA here. VCA stands for voltage controlled amplifier. So this is an amp, and the ADSR tells the amp to open and close. And then we have this velocity thing here, and I'm gonna come back to that in a minute, because if we listen to the patch itself without playing the MIDI clip, I'm just hitting a note on my keyboard right now, and I'm playing the same note over and over again. The reason the pitch is changing is because I have the velocity mapped or patched into this FM input. If I take this out, I have a null note playing higher up, playing further down. So if we put our velocity output again into this input and we monitor what the input is doing, you can see the harder I hit the keyboard, the more voltage is going to be passed through. So now I'm playing very soft. I'm getting more and more velocity, and you can hear the pitch changing. So that's where that comes from. The reverb, of course, is the lovely plateau reverb. Let's have a listen to the patch without any reverb at all. And that's pretty much it for that patch. There's really not that much to it. Classic bleep. Of course, you can take a different output on the module. So right now we're listening to the sine wave. Let's have a listen to maybe a square. And you can hear all of a sudden we have a lot more harmonic content to work with. Perfect time to introduce a little bit of the workflow in Cardinal/VCV rack, because once you right click with your mouse button, you get into this browser. And now I can just look for a filter and look for all brands. Let's choose this Bog audio filter. And now I'm gonna take my signal. So the square wave that is running right now into the VCA without any filtering is now being sent first into the filter and from the filter output into the VCA. And now, if I open this filter fully up, we can hear the filter effect. But let's go back to the sine wave for now. Open up the filter fully and let's add some drums for context. So our second patch today is a little bit more involved, but not really. I think it's still manageable for a beginner to wrap your head around what's happening. So the signal flow is my oscillator is getting its pitch from a LFO this time, not from a keyboard, but from an LFO. And that LFO is synced to my host tempo. The LFO is using a ramp output, so it's going up in pitch. Usual ADSR into the VCA, opening it up. From there we go into this liquid filter, also by mutable instruments or audible instruments in VCV. And this is recreating some classic Roland filter. And from there we go into my lovely plateau reverb. And I'm going to explain this host parameters module in a bit, but first let's have a listen to the patch. So I said earlier, chances are you already heard something like this before, and this is one of the more simple patches you can create, but it's very effective. And the reason why it sounds like it sounds is this LFO right here. So let's maybe pull down the reverb for a second and open up the filter completely. And now I'm gonna press a few keys on my MIDI keyboard. And you can hear what the LFO is doing. So like I said, whenever this host MIDI module receives a gate input, I'm gonna send it not only to my ADSR module, but also to my reset on this LFO, which sends a ramp up waveform into the oscillator pitch. The idea is really simple. You can also scale down the output of the LFO. So if I pull it way up, or way down, you can hear I'm controlling the amount of pitch modulation going into my oscillator. And now, of course, from there we can change the models on the oscillator to get different sounds. Fun for days with patches like these. And by the way, both of these patches are going to be available as a free download on our Discord server. So make sure you get on there and use them at your convenience. Also, I wanted to quickly show you this house parameters module. So parameter 1 of this module is going into the frequency of my filter. And the reason for that is, if I open up my Cardinal synth in Ableton, you can see parameter 1 until 24 is mirroring this one here, which means now I can map any MIDI controller I want to this parameter here, which is opening up and closing my filter. You cannot see this on the screen because it doesn't send the data to Cardinal's GUI, but it doesn't matter, you're gonna hear the effect. If I play my patch again. So pretty much any button, any knob you can think of in Cardinal is mappable to your MIDI controller. So let's have a listen to this patch with some drums as well. And also I put some OTT on this because why not? Okay, before I start playing around for the next half hour, I'm getting lost already again in this patch. Yeah, I hope you found this useful. The patches, both of them, the Bleep and the band patch, are going to be available on our Discord server, so head on over there. The link is in the description below. And yeah, as always, check our website, SINEE.de, and I'm going to see you soon. Take care.